Well, the box office numbers for the weekend are in, and it's fair to say there were a couple of surprises. The biggest surprise was probably that the new Will Smith, Jaden Smith film, After Earth, not only didn't win the weekend box office, but actually came in third place, just behind Now You See Me. The second small surprise was that Fast and Furious 6 maintained the top spot at number 1. John, what do the weekend's numbers tell you?
Well, first, let's start with the Fast and Furious. That's a surprise. It really is. Now, some people, really it is. Think about it. Only twice in history has the Memorial Day weekend box office champion, in this case, Fast and Furious 6, only twice in history has the Memorial Day box office champion gone on to continue to be number 1 the following week. The first one was one of the Jurassic Park films, and the second one was a Pirates of the Caribbean film. It is not easy in the summer movie season to stay at number 1, especially when you got a Will Smith sci-fi action film opening. Those are always huge. But the biggest surprise is clearly that After Earth came all the way in third. It finished below Now You See Me, which, it looks like a really, really nice, fun little film. But this is a Will Smith science fiction action adventure film. You would think that it's automatic. That means huge box office. Everybody just thinks, put Will Smith in a movie, huge box office. Now you let Pursuit of Happiness go, and that, what was it, 6 pounds or 7 pounds, whatever it's called. You let that go because, those are more dramatic pieces. But you put Will Smith in a big box office, instant $100 million film. Made about $25 million bucks. And that to me is the big thing. Now, this tells me a couple things. Number one, that the real trend here, that individual movie stars do not guarantee box office. We've known that for a few years now. The climate has changed. Now, don't get me wrong. If you put some brand new actor, Ed Newface, in After Earth instead of Will Smith, sure, it makes less than $25 million. Absolutely. But it's not like the old days where you're putting in some big star that automatically guarantees big box office. Those days are gone. I remember there was actually there was a news story recently about Johnny Depp. The studio asked Johnny Depp to take a pay cut for an upcoming movie, and he's refusing. And I read a lot of people writing, Johnny Depp is worth $25 million or $30 million, whatever he was originally supposed to get. He's worth that. No, he's not. No, he's not. You see the Rum Diaries? You see how that did? Johnny Depp ain't worth it. Now you say, but he's a really great actor. Yeah, well, guess what? I got this guy who comes and does plumbing at my apartment who is awesome at his job. One of the best I've ever seen. I ain't paying him $25 million bucks. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole context of scale pay debate here, but no, movie stars are not worth that much. So then you can start getting into the question about, well, why? I mean, why does a movie like After Earth not do that well? And I think there are a couple reasons. I know Dennis and I are talking. I want to hop on this one, Dennis, before I throw it over to you. I think a lot of people like me were instantly are still thrown off by this concept of the nepotism in this, of Will Smith just putting his own kid in all these movies. And, I think he was one of the producers behind Karate Kid, put his own kid in it. Now, that actually worked out because I thought Jaden Smith was actually great in Karate Kid, so I'll give him that. And I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way instantly. I think there's some other reasons, but Dennis, you're looking at what happened at the box office this weekend. The Will Smith sci-fi action film comes in third. What are some of the reasons you think that is?
Yeah, I think the audience, because of like the internet now, they're much more aware of these things about one, we have M. Night Shyamalan, who they tried to hide from the marketing of this movie.
They hit him pretty well.
But I think as it went on, people started to get wise to the fact that he directed, and his reputation is to be frank, not very good, and so that was one turnoff. And then two, the nepotism thing, and not just Will Smith putting his son in the movie, but also the fact that it's kind of like a bait and switch, where you can tell from the trailers that Will Smith is not really the star of this movie. He's there and he's throughout it, but he's not really the star. And so I think that's another reason why people didn't go see it. Whereas if Will Smith was the main guy, I think it would have done a lot better.
I think the first time we talked about this movie, after the first trailer came out, I think we sat on this show and said, man, I'm looking at this trailer, and yeah, it's got a lot of Will Smith in it, but I got a feeling it's a bait and switch. I got a feeling that Will Smith is probably in a finite part of this film, and really the rest is all Jaden Smith. And I think a lot of the other people, viewers, saw that as well. I don't know that I agree with you about the M. Night thing. I think the majority of average moviegoers still had no idea that M. Night, the Shamhammer, directed this film. And I say the Shamhammer lovingly because while he's really awful right now, I still believe that, and I mean this sincerely, I still believe the same guy is still in there. This is still the same guy who made Sixth Sense and made Unbreakable. And made, I'm not The Village. The Village was terrible. But made, what was the one with the aliens with Mel Gibson?
Signs.
Signs. I know a lot of people don't like Signs. I actually thought Signs was pretty damn good, aside from the last 5 minutes, which were awful. But I believe he's still the same guy. I think he's got it in him to still, I think there is still a couple of great movies in M. Night Shyamalan. I really do. I think The Shamhammer still has a couple of really good ones in him. That being said, I do think his name would have turned people off right now. That's why they very intelligently hid his name. But I remember thinking a few weeks ago, you know, hey, if After Earth is a big hit, and if it's really good, and I thought it looked pretty good at the time. But I remember thinking a few weeks ago, if it's a big hit and if it's really good, this could be the door opening back up for M. Night. But if you're going to have M. Night direct it, and it's a Will Smith sci-fi action, and it comes in third on its opening weekend. Dennis, quick question. Do you think this closes the door on the Shamhammer moving forward? Like, if he can't have a hit film, like with more than a $25 million opening weekend in a Will Smith sci-fi action here, does this close the door for him, or do you think there's some people will still take a chance on M. Night?
I think the door is closing. Maybe like the door's almost all the way closed, but his like big toe is like blocking it from being totally closed. Unfortunately, I think people are still going to take a chance on it because box office wise, like even movies that were critically panned, like The Happening and The Last Airbender, which I think are two of the worst movies ever made, they actually didn't do that bad at the box office.
Right.
So I mean, they weren't successes, but they weren't a big bomb like After Earth seems like it's going to be. So I think that they'll give him one more chance. One more chance. And I think that'll be it.
One more chance. You know, when it gets to that point, though, like you and I talked about this before, Dennis, when it gets to the point where a movie like Devil was coming out and they put up on the screen from M. Night and the audience laughs, yes. Which not happened good. In all the theaters. When that trailer came up and the name M. Night would come up, everybody would laugh. When that happens, it's theaters get nervous. Obviously, movie studios get nervous. So I still think he's got a couple of great films in him. I hope he can rebound. I really do. But yeah, what's next?
I just have to say that I'm really proud of Now You See Me because that was my most anticipated film this year. So
really?
I'm proud of Now You See Me.
Awesome.
I'm a magic girl. All right.
Hey guys, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and will keep you up to date on all the latest movie news as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk Show. Also, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to find out about our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.